In the 1860s, under the direction of acting Indian agent Major John Sims, the government constructed a log cabin in Chewelah to serve as the Colville Indian Agency. Sims and his wife lived in the cabin until 1882, and shortly thereafter, the agency was moved to Fort Spokane. In 1902, Dr. S. P. McPherson purchased the cabin as his personal residence, and family descendants continued to own and occupy the property until 2010. The cabin is the last vestige of what had been a group of structures on site to support the activities of the agency.
This cabin was built in 1868, and between 1873 and 1882 it served as the Indian Agency for this entire region. That's 26,000 square miles and nearly 4,000 Native Americans in this part of the West. I don't know of any other agency. There's one in Wyoming and I think one in Montana, that the buildings are still standing.
The Stevens County Historical Society recently took over ownership and stewardship responsibilities of the cabin with the goal of opening it as a museum to interpret the Indian Agency period. But as repairs began, additional needs emerged, including the need to replace deteriorated logs and to stabilize the structure.
The family that owned it were descendants of Dr. McPherson, who purchased it in 1906. It's been in their family for over 100 years. And they felt like it was a little more than they could maintain. They wanted it in the hands of someone who would care for it and keep it as a tribute to its past.
We have to save the building's life, and rot is what will take it away from us. If it rots out from underneath us, we're done. There were a number of architectural problems. The porch was too long. The drip line dripped right onto the porch. They had put concrete around the bottom to seal out the skunks. They had placed dirt underneath the floorboards to keep the rodents out of it. But at the same time, it held in the moisture got into the wood, the sill logs rotted.
So our goals changed from trying to have a place for events and displays and a museum to keeping it from falling down. It will not stand and will not survive unless the sill logs are replaced and some other kind of foundation and some supports are put in it.
In addition, there are significant archaeological considerations for the site, and the Historical Society is proactively working with local tribes to conduct investigative digs.
We have asked the Spokane tribe and the Kalispel tribe to help us with some archaeological digs. They've got archaeologists on staff. We're going to have the floors up anyway, and they thought it would be a good project too.
Because of its activity, because it was a government agency, because there were people coming here from all over and camping here back in the day, this whole site is a potential archaeological treasure. So I'm very excited to have both the Kalispels and the Spokane tribal archaeologists working on the project with us.
In the meantime, anxiety remains over the extent of rehabilitation work required to stabilize the cabin and raising the funds needed to implement the work.
This site really is one of the few buildings still standing from territorial days. We want to interpret the family who donated it. We want to look at the government involvement with the Indian Agency services, and we want to look at the Indians that were here. We'd like to have a library here. There is no central location for Indian studies or Indian history of any kind. It's just a really important part of the history of the Northwest.
With the museum, with the returning it back to the community and to the region and to the nation for that matter, to tell the story of the reservation settlement time period. This could be a place that we can educate. It is a place that we can bring people together. We've had some wonderful moments already.